It's like I said,
Yep.
it's pretty rough up there.
6 o'clock, I'll call this Area Planning Commission meeting to order. First item is a roll call. Member, please.
Jordan Brewer.
Here.
Grant Bowler.
Here.
Clark Beard.
Here.
Knight is absent. Andy Bailey is absent. Gibbons.
Here.
Dan Sheets.
Here.
Okay, next up is a disposition of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented to us by Kat.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
That was Mike, right?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Do we have any old business? Okay, we will move on to our public hearing. We have one this evening. Application CC 2023-00724. I may mispronounce this. I'll call it Dolgan Corp. LLC. If you'll take us through that, please, Liz.
Certainly. I'm right there with you. I'm going to go with Dolgan Corp. LLC. This is a request to rezone land from B5, which is agribusiness, to B4, which is general business. The property in question is currently zoned agribusiness, has been for decades. To the north of it is a mix of roadside business and high-density residential. To the east is medium-density residential, and the south and the west are also agribusiness all the way to the next road. The petition site consists of farmland. It's adjacent to and just outside of the Mulberry town limits to the west. It's on the south side of West Jackson Street, which is also West State Road 38, in section 17 of Madison Township. The petitioner is requesting to rezone a portion of the property for the development of a 10,640 square foot commercial retail facility, specifically to serve as a Dollar General. There's 5 criteria which the Area Planning Commission and the County Commissioners should pay reasonable regard to in the evaluation of the rezoning request as specified in section 201.01C of the Unified Development Ordinance. First, the most recently adopted comprehensive plan. So the Madison Township Future Land Use Plan map in the 2012 Clinton County Comprehensive Plan designates this area for ultimately business technology park use, but for it to remain agricultural until it can be hooked into Mulberry's sewer system. In further detail, the comp plan states that most development in Madison Township is proposed for around the town of Mulberry and within the urban growth area boundary. This site sits within the west side of Mulberry's urban growth area boundary, which is designated for their future growth. 2 current conditions and character of structure and uses in each district. Although the requested B4 zoning district does permit more uses without special exception approval than the current B5 zoning, the petition site is along West State Road 38, and that is in close proximity to Lafayette, and there is a mix of uses already around it. 3, the most desirable use of the land in each district is adapted. So this ground is already zoned commercial, only a small portion would be rezoned to accommodate the general business zoning request for the development of the Dollar General that would serve the area well, as there is a need for this type of retail. For the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. So there are other business zoning districts in the vicinity, and even the ground that the petition site itself is located on is zoned business. In fact, this same use is a special exception use in the agribusiness zoning district. So rezoning a small portion of the parcel to another business zoning district would appear to meet the criteria. Currently, uses like sawmills, trucking terminals, warehousing, auction sale yards, contractors, and food processing facilities are among the uses permitted by right with no hearings right now in that zoning district. With the move to B4, many of those actually become special exceptions and are no longer by right. But there are some new uses that will be permitted, such as laundromats, professional offices, and retail trade that the B5 district requires hearings for. The uses in B4 are not of any greater overall intensity than the uses allowed in B5. In fact, many of them are less intense, and retail along the main road through town would seem to be highly desirable. 5, responsible growth and development. Given that the comprehensive plan does have this area designated for development and growth, and that a Dollar General development in this area would be a positive addition for Mulberry, it appears the zoning change would open up uses in line with responsible growth and development for the town of Mulberry. That said, the town of Mulberry has not yet had an opportunity to see plans or provide an opinion or feedback on the development and how it may integrate with the town, as their meeting to discuss it is not until August 8th. A town board member did call into our office to express that they have concerns about how the development goes in, and they want something higher end and integrated with the community, like the Dollar General site in Kirkland that was done a few years ago, ended up being. And I'll follow up on that board member because we did get some written communication today when I get done with the staff report. So consequently, staff does recommend to continue the rezoning application until the next regular APC meeting to let the petitioner present this to the Mulberry Town Council and allow the Town Council to see if they can work out a mutually beneficial concept for the development. Staff does have some concerns that commitments may need to be presented along with the recommendation from this board, such as things regarding sidewalks and adequate screening for the residences and other concerns from the town, since it is going to be up against the town limits residential district, sit within the urban growth area boundary designated for their annexation and future development. However, not knowing which direction the board might want to go as they hear the audience, if the board wishes to pass this on to the commissioners with a favorable recommendation, then staff would strongly recommend asking the petitioner if they're willing to accept some commitments, specifically that sidewalks are provided per the subdivision ordinance and connected to the town sidewalk system. The turn and passing lanes are provided on State Road 38 to prevent through traffic backups. The privacy fencing is integrated into the required buffer yards along the east property line adjacent to the single-family residential uses in Mulberry, and that the development be hooked to municipal water and sewer. Several of these are actually ordinance requirements, but this states them out front very clearly in a way that at least helps make sure that the development in Mulberry are working together. If Mulberry has not weighed in, the petitioner is unwilling to make the commitments, and the board does wish to send the case on to the county commissioners from this meeting anyway, staff would recommend a negative recommendation without commitments as a poorly designed site that is not integrated to serve the community of Mulberry's needs right along the town line, but is likely to be annexed, would not be responsible growth and development, nor good for conservation of neighboring property values. And then there's just a general map there at the end of the staff report to show you the section of that land. I will note there was a typo in the advertisement for this. It advertised 10 acres for rezoning, but the actual petition site is not 10 acres. It's a 10,000 square foot retail building, but it's a much smaller, couple acre rezoning area as shown on that map. We did receive today, and I did forward it to the board, so if you've seen it, I won't read it verbatim, but to summarize, Dave Jones, Mulberry president, he did submit a letter requesting, he expressed that the town is supportive of the retail development, but they're requesting that the board continue to allow the town to have conversations, much like Mulberry did, to try to make sure, A, that they have adequate sewer capacity and water, and those things have actually been addressed and planned through, and then B, that they have a reasonable mix for development plan between the developer and the town, so that it integrates and works. And then one of the things that he wanted to make sure the board knew is Mulberry did not have the opportunity to hear this or address it sooner because the developer did not contact them until the 19th, and then the inquiry was actually about sewer and water but did not include any details. So the town has not yet seen site plans or gotten details about the use and its utility needs to be able to respond to it. So that would be the reason they're asking for the continuance, not because they are necessarily against the idea. They would just like to make sure that it works all the way around. I think that concludes what we know as staff.
Liz?
Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Is the petitioner present? If you would come to the mic, just state your name and if there's anything you would like us to know.
Good evening. My name's Tom Cowan. I'm with Zaremba Group, the developer out of Cleveland, Ohio. I think everybody knows and understands the Dollar General, and this Dollar General is considered to be a neighborhood store for the town of Mulberry and surrounding area. You know, Dollar General is a discount store. They have great competitive pricing, and they serve a small market niche. They don't draw from outside the local community, so traffic-wise, people that are out there driving by, those are the customers that Dollar General will serve. there's something new that I wanted to share with everyone here. Dollar General came to us recently and said they have a new concept that they want to put in the Mulberry site, and that new concept is a little bit larger store. They're under a lot of pressure to bring in fresh foods. So,
Hold on, no. Yeah, you can address the board, so that everyone will get an opportunity.
I thought I said something wrong.
No, you didn't.
Okay. There's a new concept. It's called a Dollar General Market. And the market portion of this stands for a bigger offering of fresh foods, refrigerated produce and such. Takes a little bit bigger store, a little bit bigger back room to have cooler capacity to keep deliveries cold until they hit the sales floor. And then a little bit more sales floor area to put cases, cooler cases on the floor. We originally were doing a 10,640 square foot. The market is a little bit larger at 12,480. Fits within the same area of acreage, but it is a better concept to bring to Mulberry. It's a more positive, and it's the store of the future for Dollar General. They started to do these very recently, and I'm just really delighted that they told us to change it before we went under construction. One other thing that's important to note here, most of the Dollar Generals are leased. They rent the store once it's open. That's just the way they've done business for many, many years. This particular location, they're going to own the store. That means that they're their own landlord. They will take better care of it because they own it and they're not renting it. And I think that's another positive I wanted to point out to everybody. The staff report, extremely well written, thorough. Kudos. Great job. I wanted to address real quick the staff recommendation. We obviously need a recommendation that's in a positive light. The timing is such that we're here tonight. We're at the town of Mulberry's meeting a week from tonight. And that's not so much that we couldn't communicate. We've actually contacted them at the very earliest parts of the project, before it was even approved by Dollar General to proceed. We just didn't get aligned, and I think there's a couple different reasons for it, but we will, and always do, get through all the approvals. And if they go out of turn, sometimes that does happen, but we're not ignoring Mulberry. Obviously, we're scheduled to meet with them and thoroughly will vet this project with them. It just so happens that we're here tonight for your monthlies, so we wanted to take advantage of the schedule and at least come here and have the discussion with the county. There's a couple different options noted in the recommendation. I don't want to address the negative recommendation. That gets us nowhere. But we could continue it. We could table tonight, or we could have a little bit further discussion, answer some questions. Whitney Pizzala is with our engineering firm, AR Engineering, out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I'd like her to take a couple minutes and go through what we're doing, how we're doing it, so that everybody here gets that opportunity to look at that. And then certainly enough here in the audience to probably have some questions. We can address those as well. And then we can circle back on the staff recommendations and see where we go from here. But I want to give Whitney a couple minutes to explain our project. She's got a board that she can share. It's a little bit easier to see it. It's blown up. Yeah, and you know, it does have the smaller size store, but it will be a market, which is a better offering, prettier store. And we'll give Whitney a chance to explain a lot of what we're doing. I will hold this.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Like Tom said, my name is Whitney Pizzala. I'm with AR Engineering. We're located at 5725 Venture Park Drive in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're the civil engineer on the project. We've worked on several of these projects with Zarima Group throughout most of Indiana. And so I have the site plan here that I'll leave up here if anybody wants to pick it up and look at it. Sometimes even though if it's that size, sometimes it's best just to look at it straight on. So layout is pretty typical layout for Dollar General. The access is going to be off of the state road. And the front of the store, the entrance of the store is going to face the road as well. Loading and trash enclosure, which that'll be fully enclosed in a dumpster wood enclosure, is in towards the back of the site. And for loading, those trucks are typically, the big truck that says Dollar General on it, are typically once a week. So all the maneuvering will happen on the site. It will be not backing up from the street. So we've designed the site so that the maneuvering would be fully on site. Smaller box trucks will come more frequent because those are the fresh foods. So those will be more frequent throughout the week. Traffic out on State Route 38, we've had some initial conversations with NDOT. I'm not anticipating things being required, such as turn lanes or passing flares, because the traffic count out there is pretty minimal, or it won't warrant it. Dollar General's traffic is small. I mean, most of the time, as you probably all see, there's maybe 12, 15 cars during the peak time. A lot of people aren't spending a lot of time in these stores. They're in and out. Unlike a big box retail like Meijer, where you can maybe get lost in there for an hour. So they're small and they serve the surrounding community. So like they don't generally pull traffic from outside of the areas. They're mostly serving the traffic that's already on that street. So we don't have much concerns with NDOT with what they require. We think the approach will be pretty typical approach as shown in the plan. So. That's a pretty quick overview. When we get through this process, we'll submit full site plans that'll have things like the landscaping and the lighting and more details on the stormwater. We will be working with the county surveyor on the county drain tile that's through the property on relocating that. So we'll make sure to work with them as we kind of just get through each step. So. I know that was kind of quick, so let me know if you have specific questions or if we go from here. But
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You have one, Mike?
Well, I had a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
Typically, do the deliveries that come into that store, do they happen during business hours, or will there be trucks coming in all hours? I didn't know.
During business hours.
Business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like I know there's a Dollar General in Rossville, and they took an existing grocery store that had gone out, which was great. Do Dollar General, do they put plans in place that, since they're gonna own that building, that if that doesn't go over, are we gonna have an empty shell, or is there a contingency with that? We've got a lot of empty buildings sitting around.
It's a good question. You can look at their history as a company. They're well over 18,000 stores right now. Biggest retailer in this country by store count.
Okay.
They do not have a history of opening up, failing, and closing. And that's because of the way they do business. They have technology that identifies locations, and they tell the developers, this is where I need to be. The developers find the property. So everything starts out the right way. And their technology has got them a good running record. They also aren't the type of company that puts others out of business.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they have some grocery items, a lot of general merchandise, but they don't have a track record of other competitors failing. So again, Dollar General would stay, but what good is that if you put out, mom and pop?
Right.
That's not what they are doing.
Sure.
They don't do that, and again, their track record does speak for themselves.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, I just wanted to note, well, all relevant in conversation, but just to make sure to state that any recommendation for rezoning does not bind them into either store size or site plan. I know like for Dan and for us, we'll have a separate development plan review process when they get to that, and they'll have to amend things to make sure that they meet the ordinance. So their information brought is super helpful and all the conversation is relevant. I just want to make sure the board understands that there is a secondary review process to talk about things like landscaping and those kinds of things. Now, if there's something that Mulberry or the commissioners or the community want or need as part of the development that the ordinance is not required, and we want to make sure we quantify that in a commitment with the rezoning, which is where it becomes relevant. But just wanted to make sure that everybody knew if there's something on the site plan that doesn't seem to meet, that's okay at this stage in the game, because you're not binding anyone to a site plan, nor are you giving them any permission not to follow the rules.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll open it up. We have a lot of people, obviously, so I think the challenge will be you really direct your questions to the board, and obviously we have the same information you do, so there isn't this back and forth between people that are out here and the petitioner, so to say, but we'll give you the opportunity to ask questions or comments, so I'll open it up. If you can just state your name and be respectful, and if just not repetitive as well, please. So is there anyone that wants to go?
I had a feeling.
Should have put a bet on that.
I did. I bet him $5.
Hello, I'm Keith Myers, and I live on West Street, which is very close, going to be very close to this. And everybody I've talked to in town would want the Dollar General Market. I personally don't want the Dollar General, but I do want the market like they're proposing.
Okay.
Now that makes me happy. But I mean, I'm not probably 100 feet from it, but it's, yeah.
That'll be within walking distance.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. That's all I gotta say, and I found out that it's going to be a Dollar General Market, and I think that's to me I think that's fine.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your insight.
Well, thank you.
Is there anyone else?
My name's Gordon Ward, and I live at 619 West Wyandotte. And my big concern is with drainage, water, and the sewage. Right now, on the west side of town, every time we get an inch of rain or more, there's water standing in the streets. And I think the majority of it is coming from that nursing home. It comes down West Street. And when they put that sewers and stuff in the town of Mulberry, it was in the 70s. And that nursing home consisted of one big tall building. Now they tore that down and spread it out, and there's blacktop everywhere. And they at least tripled the size of that nursing home. All that sewage and waterfall and everything comes down on West Street, off that blacktop and everything over there. Now what you're wanting to do is add more blacktop and more water and more sewage coming into that lift station. That lift station they've got on West Street will not handle anymore. It backs up now every time we get a good rain, and we can't flush our stools and everything down there on West Street and out there on Wyandotte. You're just adding more problems to the situation that we've got. I know the town put in for a bond issue or something to get that, well, they got turned down, grant. It got turned down. So, and you're still, like I say, they're still adding to the problem by adding that blacktop and stuff on that end of town. The other end of town, be great.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. I appreciate your insight and thoughts. Kind of to summarize, it sounded like your issues were more of town issues rather than plan commission issues, so, but we'd take it under consideration. Anyone else?
My name's Alicia Minix. I live on West Street. I'm against this Dollar General. I think it's a bad decision. We don't need it. We have 5 within 11 miles of Mulberry. If you need something, go to the store. It's not that far away. Like he said, the water drain off, that's gonna be a huge issue. Well, again, what are we supposed to do with this? Doing a little bit of digging into Dollar General. OSHA, right now, they've got 180 Dollar General stores in trouble for unsafe practices involving electrical panels, fire extinguishers, emergency exits. The FDA is right now investigating them. Dollar General knowingly transported contaminated food from their warehouse and sold it in Arkansas just last year and contaminated. I mean, people got sick for this. I have a list, all kinds of stuff. I realize this isn't the time, but I just want my voice to be out there. I'm against this. I do not want it. It does not need to be in our town.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I am Paula Bennett, and I am the clerk treasurer for the town of Mulberry. And as you know, I am not a voting member of the board, but I didn't see either of my board members raising their hand to come up here and talk. The board, the town board of Mulberry, as Dave specified in his email, would like the opportunity to talk with the appropriate people from Dollar General. We're not saying yes, no, we're saying we want to be involved in the planning of this. There are issues, and the town admits it, with the sewage. And yes, we did get turned down for one of our grants that we recently wrote. We're still in the running for another one, and we won't hear back from it till the end of August. It's an issue that we're working on. Dan Sheets, I know, is well aware of what we're dealing with out in Mulberry. And I'm not saying that that will stop this or that the board wants to stop it, but the board would like to be able to speak and work through some issues before you make a vote on this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, one more.
I'm Harry Myers. I live at 42 West Street. I have a concern that when Dollar General came out there, the town was not contacted. They walk all over everybody's property, digging up, looking for spikes. Nobody knew what they was out there for. So if they're not going to let residents know, and they come and present something, how do we know that's the truth? Because they won't tell us. So therefore, I'm against it at the moment. Unless we can get some other guarantees or something like that. That's all I have at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
I'm Randy Ravenscroft. I am a voting member of the town board, and I would like to see it come in, but we was blindsided by this. I mean, they just showed up in town one day and measured the place off. We had no idea what was going on. We still don't have a real good picture of what's going on. So I'd like for you guys to consider that. You know, I mean, we need to know what's going on in our town. We need to know what's coming in.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? One more? Well, we're recording, so if it's possible, I need you to go to the mic.
We have people.
We could bring the mic to you if you're unable.
Okay, I'm Joyce Faulkner, and I live on 28 West Street, and I have a very similar situation that he was just talking about. You know, people came up to our property and put a couple stakes up, and one guy, I don't know if he was part of the group or if he was somebody in town, but I was out mowing my yard, and he was trying to get me to move it over. He says, no, your property doesn't go that far. And I said, yes, it does. And so it was upsetting, for one thing. And he tried to say something about the stakes, but I said, no, our property line is here, and we mow to here, and the neighbors mow over to here. Anyway, that's kind of how it went. So I was disrupted by just his abruptness towards me and what I was doing in my own yard and everything. And so I'm not really in favor of them coming. I have grandchildren that are out in the yard and play a lot, and we can sit on our deck and watch them. But the thought of somebody from the store coming, since we're so close and everything, and maybe cutting through our yard or something, I don't favor that. So.
Okay, thank you. Almost had everybody. Anyone else that hasn't spoken want an opportunity? Okay, we'll close that for now. We'll open it up for board discussion after the input we've received.
I would like to say that, as one of the more elder members of the board here, I can't remember a time when we've disrespected any of our town boards who we really appreciate having as partners on the Area Plan Commission. I don't believe we've ever stepped on their toes or tried to run anything down their throats. It's always been, that their feelings about their towns is number one priority. And, I appreciate Dollar General's representatives coming and explaining things to us. But, I guess my mind's already made up. I really don't want to approve anything until the town board has a chance to really get all their questions answered in their own setting, in their own meeting, and under their own terms.
I agree with Mr. Beard. I've worked with the small towns for years. As folks in Mulberry know, I have a great working relationship with your utilities in particular. I have no interest in moving this on to the commissioners this time, particularly with all the conditions that would have to be placed on it. I don't think we want to burden the commissioners with that. I don't think it's their job to do that. I think this report really spells it out quite well, but I think the application is incomplete without the town of Mulberry on board. So with that, I would make a recommendation that we continue this to our next meeting, so the town of Mulberry has an opportunity to look at this plan and make sure it fits in with their community.
I'll second Mr. Sheets' motion.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. If we could do a roll call, please.
Jordan Brewer,
Yes.
Gary Miller,
Yes.
Clark Beard,
Yes.
Mike Evans,
Yes.
Jen Sheet.
Yes.
So 5-0, continue to the next meeting. And then Paula, your meeting is it the 8th?
Yes.
So for those of you that are following this case, Mulberry will be having a town meeting on the 8th, and then this will be back to the Plan Commission next month, the first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. back in this location. You won't get more. Oh, we may move it or she may move it.
We may move it to a bigger location.
Okay,
I'm
so
just gonna call,
I just advise maybe you call Paula.
I'm
and-
just gonna call it, we're moving it to the Park Shelter House.
Okay, Park Shelter House for Mulberry's Town Board meeting, and then back here for the Area Plan Commission's meeting next month if you're wanting to follow it. If you forget that or you're confused, just call in to the Area Plan Office, or I'm sure you can also call Paula and she'll get information for you. But you won't get any further notice by mail or anything else. So
Right.
you've got to follow the meetings if you want to know what happens and what's discussed.
Okay. I guess for Tom, I mean, I appreciate you coming, just you need to follow those steps in order to get it in line. And I'll kind of speak for the commissioners. If it comes to us and the town's not on board, it has a very small chance of moving on. So, you know, yeah. So we need their support for it to happen. Okay. Do we have any new business?
I don't believe so.
All right. Board members, anything you would like to discuss or bring up?
Kind of like to have an update on our situation with building inspector.
Yeah, no, I can do that. So as you know, we've had the position listed. I've given a number of interviews, in fact, one as recently as last week, and this is recorded, so I guess I want to be cautious about going into detail
I
about
understand.
interviews. But so far, we've had several very qualified applicants, but we weren't able to offer them a package attractive enough for it to be comparable to their package at their current employer. We've had a number of applicants that are not qualified in terms of having no construction or very limited construction background. So far, we haven't had the right person apply with both a construction background and willing to accept the package that we can offer. And both things have to be true for it to work. We continue to have an open position where we're using consultants and backup inspectors to handle inspections. We haven't had any that we've dropped, we've been taking care of them. But at the moment, the challenge is, we're in the middle of the construction season. The best building inspector candidates are people that have experience as contractors, and contractors that are decent, even if they're nearing retirement and might be interested in a change of what they're doing, they're not gonna just drop their contracts in the middle of the season. We're also in an employees market, unfortunately, those things ebb and flow. But at the moment, I know of 3 or 4 other communities near us also searching for building inspectors, and some with better packages than we offer. And they're still having trouble finding applicants that are qualified. So it's just the fact that the construction industry is healthy, we're mid-season, there's more jobs available to people willing to work them. It's something will work out sooner or later, I'm confident of that, but it's definitely not been happening on the timeline that I would like. We have advertised that both online, plus it's posted through building inspectors, membership groups, and then here locally in about every building we can find. We have had some people recommended to us, but ultimately, you know, we don't just compete against other governmental entities, we also compete against private market, because building
You're
inspectors are.
competing against Frankfurt now too, aren't you?
I believe
Or have they found
they
someone?
may have, I've heard maybe they've made an appointment.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But at any rate, I haven't seen an official communication, so, and I'm not sure, you know, on the details on that, but yes, they have had an open position listed as well. You know, it's just kinda is what it is. The reality is, even if we adjusted what we offer, we compete with private industry that hires building inspections or inspectors for internal inspections before a jurisdiction inspects. We compete with contractors, and right now you can make 6 figures, well on up into 6 figures, as a contractor if you're reputable at the moment. So it's just a difficult combination of things. I know I talked to Indianapolis's director earlier this week. They have several positions open, and they're having trouble too. So I think part of it is just the market will shift. Even the season, as we move toward the end of this construction season, may bring something different. But it's the position we're sitting in right now. If any of you know somebody who might be qualified and interested, you know, send them my way. You know, otherwise, I've just continued to manage making sure inspections are served and taken care of, and then continuing to try to search.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any questions?
No.
Other comments from the board? Okay. With next meeting, September 5th, right? Okay, back here. That.
Yes, I'll be checking the first of the election coming up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think
But I'll get specific dates,
yeah,
and
it's
make sure we have that
for early voting, yeah.
information.
I think it starts in October, so. With that.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Who was my second? I heard the
Mike.
before.
Mike. Got the giggle from the company man down here.
Oh. So we had a rough day today, huh?
No, it was a good day. I got 3
Oh.
new phone numbers and just a lot of driving. I was up by Delphi.
Oh,
And I
so what's
had
your
to-
territory?
Anywhere I can sell, Clark.
Oh,
I'll go anywhere. You got a lead, I'll chase it.
nope, no lead.